Alright, there's your establishing shot. Alright, hanging out at Planet Fitness. Whoops, get a beauty shot here. That'll work. Got some coffee over at 7-Eleven. Sun is just peeking through the clouds. I just wanted to do kind of a wrap up here. Today is officially my last day of urban camping, so I made a lot of little incremental changes through the time here. Starting at the front, I did get some bubble wrap in between, so that it's basically closed off. That used to be open. I also put the solar panels on, finally. Got 3 of the Harbor Freight panels on there. I'm shooting right at the sun. This white stuff is coroplast. It's literally corrugated plastic. It's like cardboard, only it's plastic. So that gave me a waterproof layer. There's part of a tarp here that hangs down. I got it pulled back right now, and on the bottom of the tarp was a piece of PVC pipe. I just give it enough weight so that it wouldn't flap too much. And then to that, I've got a bungee that holds the tarp under. That keeps it from catching the wind when I'm driving on the highway. Underneath the tarp is the moving blanket that's folded in half, so it's 2 layers, and that's what the side was. And this whole thing, when it's open, hangs all the way down just about to the bottom, so that totally locks the air in. When I'm inside, it is totally warm. Here we are at the end of January. It's basically warming up already. It hasn't been freezing the last few days now. Now, we might still get cold again, but it's, we're in Texas, so it's not going to get super cold anymore. So, little things. Let's see. I don't remember if I got this video put out yet or not, but I used to have the jack under the seat, or behind the seat of the truck, and it was always in the way. So I moved it back here. I made a little platform that it's sitting on an old piece of, these are the bus seat bottoms from the school bus. So the bottom of the seat was made out of plywood. So I always saved those, but they were getting warped and stuff from sitting out in the sun and getting rained on. So I figured this was a good place to use one. So the wood is screwed down to the bed, and then the jack is ratchet strapped down, so that kind of keeps it in place. The block of wood keeps it from rolling forward, and then the tailgate keeps it from going backwards. So that was a good place to put it. You'll notice I got a couple batteries down there. I think you maybe can see that. Yeah, there and there. A couple of my deep cycle batteries. Those were for cores. I was going to turn them in and get new batteries. I just haven't done it yet. So they're sitting there. So the solar panels are actually hooked up to another battery that's underneath the spare tire. I'm not going to dig that out, but that was the bus starting battery. When I first tested it, it had about 5.5 volts. It hadn't been hooked up for a couple years, so it was just nothing to it. But I've got it hooked up to the solar panels, and now this morning it was up to 10.6, so it's still not good, but it's at least taking a charge. All right. From that, way up, maybe visible. I'm not going to crawl in there. You've seen these before, but not the Harbor Freight charge controller, but one like it. It's got a USB port on it, so my work light over here is USB charged. And so even though the battery doesn't have full power, it's able to pass through the USB port and recharge my little work lights. Okay, so that's about as far as that got. I kind of got to the feeling this was going to be a short-term thing, so I stopped really trying to improve things too much after this. So that's kind of where we're at. All right. Sleeping bag and everything's already rolled up and in here. Oh, I forget if for anybody who hasn't seen the other one, that is a mod, or it's like an improved version of the Army cot. It's made, or I bought it from Cabela's. I don't remember if they actually made it. They might have. So it's got an aluminum frame instead of the old wood frame. The canvas is more like a denier instead of the old canvas. When I first moved to Austin, I bought this, and I slept on this for 2 years. So I'm pretty comfortable sleeping on it. It's obviously not as good as my memory foam mattress, but it did really work well. Oh, and the blocks on the floor, that was because of the jack. When I put the jack in there, it just was high enough it hit the bottom of the bed, so I just put a couple pieces of OSB to lift the bed up a little bit higher, which did make it a little bit interesting getting in because I needed that 2 inches crawling in. But anyway, details on the wiring. All the wires the panels are in parallel, so I just connected each to the next one and then pulled it through the loom, which for the test that worked out really well. I ran 2-inch screws through the panel, through the OSB, and then I literally just put scraps of 2x4 where the screws were going to come through, and so it's going into a backing block, I guess. But I used, A-dowel clamps or P clamps, everywhere. Tried to make it good. Didn't have any problem with that at freeway speeds. I usually don't go 80. I could drive about 70, 75, but I didn't notice anything coming loose or flapping, so I guess we're okay there. Other design details. The side on this side folds up or down, and what I had was there's a T-nut inside here in the block, and so I just put it up and put a 1/4-inch bolt in there with a washer just to hold the side up. That gives me just a little bit more protection when I'm sleeping. Keeps the wind from blowing through there so much. And then when I'm driving, fold it down, now I can see out, which is enough to get me out of a parking spot. I have some visibility through this side. Yeah, we are right into the sun, sorry. So you can see my mirror up there, right? It's not perfect, but I've got some visibility. At least it's not completely blocked off. All right. This table has been here for quite a while. That the last time I worked in El Paso, when I was working for the Postal Service, I put the table in. This is also the bottom of a bus seat. The back row of seats next to the emergency exit, one seat is narrower. This is the narrow seat. There's only one of those. It happened to be perfect in here. It's just like, okay, I didn't have to trim it or anything, and I used these contours were the way it was. That was part of the design, so I just kept it. This part of the bracket is metal from the bus seats, and this I think was apart from the bus, but I can't remember where. Heaters maybe or something like that. Yeah, very likely air ducting was what that was. I kept away from the airbag here, and I just put a lot of screws into the plastic, so this whole thing is mounted mostly to plastic. This just stops here, and then there's one more leg down here, and there's one of my fabulous welding jobs. I did a cut and I bent it, and then I put a backing in there and welded it and hit it with the grinder with the flat brush, so there's a seam there. But I don't do much welding on this channel. MIG welder. Cool. All right. So yeah, the Chromebook, which is there getting a charge, would normally sit up here, and then the keyboard and trackball would sit here. That's where I did a lot of the stuff. This was my whiteboard that I kept for my schedule, and here's the last day, the 27th. I worked today 11 until 6:30. It's a 7-hour day, and you can see I erased everything else. What was going to happen this week, oh yeah, I decided not to work at Sam's anymore. 100 reasons, literally. And this was kind of funny when I talked to the manager. She was like, okay, well, thanks for letting us know. I told her yesterday morning, so they got a couple days of head start at least. And she's like, why? And I'm like, well, there's at least 100 reasons. And she kind of looked at me and was like, well, I live 110 miles away. And she's like, yeah, she knew that. And I'm like, it's just getting old. I'm sleeping in my truck. And then the other thing was I'm 53 and I'm pushing carts. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm getting tired. Anyway, so yesterday I turned in notice. Today I'm working. My schedule was going to be Tuesday and Wednesday off, Thursday 1 day, and then 2 more days off. And I'm like, you know what, if I'm going to quit this job anyway, now's a really good time, because I hated the idea of going home. Gas cost me about $35 a trip, come back for 1 day, and then look at 2 more days off. And I'm like, oh, no, not for that. So I'm like, if I'm going to quit, now's a good time. And I was kind of thinking, yeah, I think I'll quit. So I mean, honestly, every day I wanted to quit, but I'm getting to that point. I'm like, yeah, not so much anymore. All right, So we took our shower here at Planet Fitness, so I'd always just take my towel and just kind of lay it on the seat, and then the sun shining in would typically more or less dry it. If you leave your towel in your bag, it'll just get really stinky and yuck and stuff. Pillow, thin mattress or sleeping pad for camping. That on top of the army cot actually worked pretty well. All right. Oh, yeah. Christmas decorations, they were going to throw them away at work, and somebody else had put them in our area, in the carts area, and after a while the manager always comes through and throws all our stuff away, and so they're like, yeah, we're going to throw that away. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. So I don't know. I always think at Christmas time I should be buying these little twinkle lights just because they would be great little yard lights or something, right? And they're always so cheap, so I'm like, oh, I'm getting these for free, so that works. Sleeping bag over there. You know, one of the things that I've been thinking in the last week or two, I really want my truck back, right? There is so much stuff back here. It's just, you know, I've got one laundry hamper on that side. Most of this is hard to see right now, so I'll just kind of tell you. There's one hamper that's winter stuff. So my jacket that I sometimes wear, and then I've got a couple of fleeces and extra sweatshirts and, you know, that kind of thing are over there. Then there's a storage tote kind of behind the backpack here that's full of everything else, and so it'll have trail mix and Cliff bars and cans of food, and I've got Dayquil and NyQuil in there for if I got sick, and then cough drops and roll of duct tape, and, you know, just all the random stuff that you might need, laptop chargers and, you know, that kind of stuff. And then yesterday, actually it was the day before yesterday, I dropped off laundry, and then yesterday, last night, I picked it up. So I've been using a fold and what do they call, wash and fold service, right? So I drop off my laundry and they can deal with it, and then I come back and pick it up a few hours later or the next day or whatever. All right, so yeah, I've got a washing machine at home, so I could do my own laundry, but if I'm doing it at home on my only day off, that burns most of my day off, right? If I do it here in town, I could do it myself, but then you got to mess with the machines and the card readers that never work, and it's just a pain in the butt. So for about $23, they do all my laundry for me, and it's all folded when I get it back, and I'm done. I don't have to mess with it. I just drop it off and then pick it up a few hours later. All right. So it's a convenience factor, but, you know, could do it myself, I know. If I do it at home, I got to make sure I've got water. I've got to make sure I've got gas for the generator. You know, it's just a lot more complicated. And right now, I'm going to go back inside here. Hang on. With all of this, I can't haul my water tank, right? Oh, I forgot to point this out. I did add a third brake light. Yeah. All right, get inside. It's slightly quieter in here, right? Yeah. Oh, I can't do this, can I? I don't think I can do this. All right, we'll just kind of wrap it up now. I got the battery pack in my pocket for the phone just to keep it going, so. I can't see if it's gonna work. Okay, we'll just assume that that's more or less me. If I'm not in frame, I'm sorry, I can't see the thing right now. Yeah. Oh yeah, I got a haircut too. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, just to recap, right? Last day of working for Sam's, last day of pushing shopping carts. I get off at 6:30 tonight, and then I go home to the ranch, and I don't know after that. We'll just figure it out. But what I was looking at, and I don't have this is kind of like one of those things where I don't have a firm, hang on, duck the sun here. I don't have a firm offer for the land. So, you know, in that respect, it's not a genius plan. I should have not quit yet, but we'll see, right? It looks like I might have somebody buying the land, which I'm keeping my 40 acres. I've already paid for that, so that's mine. So I'm basically somebody else will be taking over the payments. All right. So what I was looking at, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I've always said that my budget is about $755. Pretty close, right? So I was kind of looking at my numbers, and I'm like, okay, when the land is sold, that takes 400 out of that, or 340, I guess. I always paid 400, but it was actually a 340 minimum payment. Okay. So that takes it down to half. I might consider parking the truck for a couple of months, just kind of like call up the insurance and say, just put it inactive or something like that. All right. So that's $85 a month. Okay. What was the other one? Cell phone. Oh, Project Fi, or I guess it's just Fi now. It was Project Fi, and then they changed it. So Google has their own phone service. If you haven't seen this, it's a $20 a month unlimited text and voice, and then data is $10 a gigabyte, and you could choose how many gigabytes you wanted, right? So I put on 6. Then they made a little change a few months ago where if you went over 6, they just let you keep going until you hit 15. When you hit 15 gigabytes, which is quite a bit, then they slowed you down. So you paid for the first 6, you got high-speed data. When you hit more than that, they put you in bill protection mode, and you just keep going. Same, no restriction, no cut down, no slow down. And then when you hit 15, then they're like, whoa, okay, yeah, you've gone too far, Sparky, you know. So then, you know, you hit 15, and it's like, okay, now they slow you down. Well, so I was going to go in there and change it, because I'm like, well, you know, maybe I just learn to live with less, right? So I was going to go in and change it, and I go into the settings, and now they've got an unlimited plan for $70. And I'm like, I'm paying $85. So I just switched over to unlimited. So now that I've thought about that, I'm like, is that $70 plus the 20? You know, is it going to cost me 90, but I'm paying 85 now. All right. So I figured, all right, let's just go with that and see how it does, right? So today was the first day that I'm on unlimited. So that's going to be kind of a good thing for me, I'm thinking, because what I should be able to do is drive into Sierra Blanca, so it's 15 miles from home, get next to a good tower, and then use that to upload my videos. So I'll still, you know, I'll go back to shooting it with the camera and editing, and then put the file on the phone, drive into town, and I can go that way. I don't have good enough coverage at home, but I do get, at least if emails come in, I can see that the emails have come in. It's kind of about as good as I got at home right now. So it's something. All right. Anyway, so I'm still considering maybe just what my plan had been was maybe I'll just take the phone down to 1 gigabyte or something, and then plan on just going into town once in a while and using Wi-Fi someplace. I haven't found any Wi-Fi at Sierra Blanca. Oops. I was hoping that was going to stay. Guess not. Ah! No, I don't want to edit this one. Okay, so park the truck, save $80 a month, right? Might put the motorcycle back together. We're coming into the summer, okay. I hadn't ridden the motorcycle for over a year, but all right, we'll try that again. I didn't notice. I hate when that happens. Phone ran out of storage on the phone. It's like, no, I'm not done talking. Yeah, so I talked for 10 minutes, had no idea, so I had to go back and look. Where did I leave off? I think it was about the motorcycle. Okay, so what I'm looking at, park the truck, take the insurance off it for 2 or 3 months, right? So I guess the plan is in the next week, get the water tank and then haul enough water to fill the water tank, then park the truck and take the insurance off. So I'll have enough water for a few months at least, right? Water is the only really thing that I need the truck for right now. Okay, so if I get the motorcycle put back together, put a couple new tires on it and a couple odds and ends like that, put insurance on the motorcycle, insurance on the bike was a lot cheaper than insurance on the truck was, right? So go that way, I can haul a week or two worth of groceries in my backpack on the motorcycle, so that's not a big deal at all. And I don't have to come all the way into El Paso just to buy a week's worth of groceries. You know, there's other places I can go that are much, much closer, and, you know, take the motorcycle into town once a week to get my mail, and I could take my phone with me and do uploads and do that kind of thing. So no big deal. I got it to the point that I would need, well, I've always said $200 worth of food for groceries, but if I'm home, I can stretch it out a lot better. You know, I liked eating oatmeal for breakfast. That's really cheap. I've got, you know, as far as propane, I've got 2 full tanks I didn't even hit yet this winter. So I bought 3 of the exchange tanks, and when one runs out, you take it in and get another one. So I'm running on 1 tank, and I've got 2 full tanks still. So yeah, we're fine. A pound of propane on the stove, if I use the 1 pound canisters, would last me a month. You know, so I should be able to go over a year on a 15-pound canister or tank. So yeah, I got 2 years worth of propane. If I'm just thinking about the stove. Now obviously the heaters use a little bit more, but it's warming up already, you know. So I'm like, okay, yes, I will insulate the house, but not this year, this winter. Maybe we'll do it for the summer when it gets hot. I'll want insulation then. But kind of my working plan is just skinny things up for the next 3 or 4 months. You just right down to bare metal. You know, how much can I cut? And just kind of survive, and I won't say relax, but I'm gonna be busy the next few months on a lot of my stuff, little finish up stuff that I didn't have time for while I was working, and then going forward, work on the books, the robots and spaceships book. I've almost done the first draft, right? So then I can go back and edit it and take the 10 million pages and drop it down into 150 that people would actually want to read. Okay. And then from there, I got my characters designed for the comic book version of the book. That's basically locked in now. So from there, I should be able to start cranking out maybe 1 comic a week or something like that. You know, it's going to be a web comic. Once that's done, that's going to follow the same arc as the book, but I'll just cherry pick the good parts. That will then be released as a book. And if nobody likes it, then we won't talk about that anymore. Easy, right? That's really, for me, the fun thing about my expenses are so low, the internet is so big. Odds are I can probably make a couple $100 eventually just on a project like that, you know, on a monthly scale, just because the internet's so big. Somebody's going to like it. It's kind of weird. If you look at some of the things that are popular, we're trying too hard. All right. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Just a lot of little projects that are just not getting done, that I want to get done, that I don't have time. And I think I talked about this, but I can't remember where the video ran out, so if I repeated myself, sorry. But it's been so frustrating for me. Technically, I could get a lot of work done here in the truck. I could be writing, I could be making videos, I could be posting, editing, that kind of stuff. I'm so tired after pushing carts for 8 hours a day. I fall asleep quite often just in the chair. You know, like last night, I was falling asleep by 8 o'clock. I'm like, no, I don't want to go to bed at 8. You know, I only need about 6 or 8 hours of sleep. If I go to bed too early, I'll wake up at 2 in the morning, you know. So I forced myself to sit there, and I just had YouTube videos playing, and I just kept falling asleep, you know. All right, let me finally crawl on the back and go to bed, and, you know. So just I could technically do a lot of stuff, and I was just too tired to do it, you know. So I figured, all right, now I can get stuff done. You know, I'll get a couple days to recover at home, and then I'll get cracking on it. So anyway, that kind of catches us up. This will be the last of the urban camping videos, and yeah, from here going forward, we're going to be back into off-grid living, rainwater collection will be the next thing coming up probably, and then we'll start talking a little bit about robots and spaceships and stuff like that probably. A while ago, I think I mentioned mobility carts and scooters and stuff. That's something I'm going to try to do. I don't know if I've got enough parts right now to pull one off or not. But my goal is, and this is from working at Sam's and seeing how many people would wait for that little scooter to come back because they couldn't or didn't want to. A lot of them, they probably could, you know, but it was just so awkward for them to have to wait for the scooter to come back. You know, I'm talking about these little shopping scooters, right? That, you know, the people didn't have their own wheelchair, but they probably could have used one, kind of thing. They could get themselves into the store and then use our scooter and then get themselves home again, kind of thing. But after seeing that, now I don't know, I mean, these are all people who have a Sam's Club membership is the ones I'm talking about, right? So they had at least enough money to have a car to get there and to pay for their membership. Okay. So I'm not talking about, you know, and there's obviously Walmart also. But I'm thinking if a person could buy their own little scooter and keep it in their car, and if the price was reasonable, I think a lot of people would do that. You know, and I don't need a lot of people, but if I could make a scooter based on what I know how to do, sell one a month, I might have enough money to make it. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. So, you know, a little bit of welding, Harbor Freight tires, couple little motors, off we go, right? And if we can look at things like radio-controlled airplane batteries, would have enough power to push a little scooter for 15 or 20 minutes of shopping, or, you know, once around the store kind of a thing. And it wouldn't weigh near as much as the lead acid battery that everybody else is using, is the idea. All right. I think we can make a $500 scooter and still have enough profit left to actually afford to do it. And it's an idea, you know. And I guess what really got me thinking about it is if I think about all of the things that I want to do for my projects, like the robots, okay, all of that technology totally will work on a mobility scooter. Okay, so I could be testing stuff for me that would also transfer. This is kind of how I'm looking at it. So I'm not going to put a lot of extra time into making the scooter, but I think it would be a hoot to build one with enough ground clearance that I could drive it around my property for testing. Right, so I'll just be out there driving around, you know, testing. And then I was thinking my easiest way to market this thing is whenever I do go shopping, I'll just pull it out of the truck and I'll drive it into the store because it's my scooter. I can drive it. And it'll just have a sign on the back, the scooter for sale. I don't need it. I'm just testing it, you know. And if somebody buys it, great, you know. Or here's a card, you know. Would you like me to bring one to your house? Why not? Sell them on Craigslist or something like that. All right, that's all I got. As always, thanks for your support, and if this is the first time you've seen the video, go ahead and click on subscribe and like and notify, and yeah. All right, well, that's it for now. Catch you later.